Very recently, I set up a rack in my garage to put some fish tanks on. The plan is for that rack to be used for quarantine tanks, for new fish, for my 2 African Cichlid tanks. And also, I've got some Tanganyika cichlids here, and the yellow ones called Leleupi have been breeding a few times. The fry have never survived though because the other fish end up just eating them. Next time that they do have some fry, I'm going to actually remove them and the parents and put them in a separate tank to hopefully grow them out. Now, I did upload this video last week and I got hundreds of comments talking about how unstable the rack was because it was warping, and I've heard you out. I'm going to show you exactly how I made that rack more stable in this video and talk a little bit about some of the comments that came up for it too. And then what I'll do as well is I'm going to show you how I'm setting up my little breeding aquarium and tank for my Leleupi too. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
I would drain the water out immediately though to take the pressure off the off the bend and off your tank. We'll let you go drain the tank.
Alright, sounds good.
And read your comments. Alright.
Alright, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
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 I just woke up, so I went to bed really late last night. But Mum and Dad have been online, and apparently I have to go drain this tank. I did see a few saying that I needed to put something like plywood or something on the shelf to stop it from bending, and that a few people were kind of scared that it was going to break. So I'm sorry for scaring everyone with the tank and the rack. I didn't hear any loud banging in the night, so I think we should be okay. I don't think it's broken or anything. Let's just turn off our filter and our heater first, and then we're going to siphon the water out from the garage. I'm literally scared to touch this structure now. Alright, so I'll just try and siphon it out. Oh, well, good thing this fits with the garage door opening as well. I'm just kidding, I knew it would fit, mostly. I just used the siphon I normally use to do water changes, and thankfully it reached outside. I just sucked on the end to get the siphon started and then drained the water out as much as I could. And then was the tedious process of getting all of the sand out. I just used a shovel and I literally just shoveled it one bit by bit. Alright. I actually ended up scooping most of the water out with that last bit of sand. If you look now, it is much less bowing. Still bowing ever so slightly, actually, because these were barely taking any of the weight. So I think it was definitely a good choice draining and taking the sand out. So we'll see what we can get to distribute the weight. And I'm gonna see though this time, hopefully my dad or someone will be able to help me actually move this tank. So just at Bunnings now, Dad's just over there with the guy getting some stuff cut. We ended up choosing, so this stuff here, yellow tongue general purpose structural flooring, but they have new rules now at Bunnings for cutting stuff. They can only cut a minimum of 600, and they can also only cut around 100. They can't do something like 55 centimeters, for example. So what we can do though is we can get this 1800 one cut to 1500, so it's the right length, and then we can get it to 600 at home. Dad's gonna cut it so it's more precise. People also said that it would be good to get foam or just some type of padding that's soft for the tank to sit on. This is actually acoustic soundboard. I had 2 choices, so I could either get just something black that blended in with the stuff that we're going to sit it on and just had that, but then that would mean that the slab would be not a very nice color. I'd have to paint it like black or something. I just thought that this would look really nice because I really like the color. Like, to be honest, it's kind of mainly the color that I like, but I think it'll do the job as well. I'll show you some of the other things that we had a look at as options too. There's this stuff, it's called anti-fatigue, and it's a 9mm thick matting. When I saw this, I didn't think it would be very waterproof because it just seems like a sponge, but apparently that's exactly what it's for. It's for wet flooring, so you could choose that just to put right under the tank. Other thing that we also looked at was just in here. Got like these gym floor tiles, and this one down here, I just thought it was a really nice black and just seemed like it would deal well with water because it's like that rubbery kind of texture. I would get that also to cover the whole shelf, I would say, because I just like the look of that. Okay, so we just checked out. He's leaving now. It's like 5:30. Once we cut the flooring to the right size, then Dad just used that to trace around to measure the right sizing for the acoustic board. Then he just used a Stanley knife to cut it. These boards also come in lots of other colours. It's really nice, the colours they come in, I think. So I might even choose a different colour for the bottom shelf when I get to doing that. The next night I tested the shelves and they all fit well. I had the light originally zippy tied, so it was poking up a little bit. So I undid that and I just attached it so that it was on the bottom wire, which the shelf would not be sitting on. It's Wednesday, about 11:30 in the morning, and my friend Finn is about to get here probably within like the next hour or so. Finn and Marina are the owners of Atlas, and they've got that really incredible river tank, the sloped river tank that I've done a couple of videos on that's been really popular. So if you haven't checked it out, you have to check it out. I cannot get that 4-foot tank off that rack on my own. I could get it up there, but it's a different story getting it down. Finn has agreed to come and help me do that because we have something else to do as well. Finn went to Lake Tanganyika about maybe 2 months ago now, I think. Okay, heading over now. So Finn's gonna be here soon. He just messaged me to say he's on his way. But so he went to Lake Tanganyika and he actually went there and met up with Bunnings. So there's a book that I used, which is really good, so about Tropheus. And then I've got a Malawi cichlid one that I haven't looked at yet that I picked up at the auction a little while ago. And there's some really interesting little facts and stuff in this book. I used it when I did my Lake Tanganyika video. Finn's been wanting to edit it for a while, but doesn't have a laptop. So that's kind of been getting in the way. And I told him I'd help him to edit it when he wanted to. So he's gonna come help me move those tanks. We're gonna edit some footage. I got this stuff called Water Shield, which is just a spray on stuff for on fabric to help make it a little bit more water resistant. I got this stuff called Bondcrete. I'm just going to use that and paint that on the ends of the yellow tongue that I've got. It already comes with a coat on top of it. I just thought though the ends that are open, I don't want any water to get in there and then it to swell, so I might just chuck some of this on the ends. I used the water resistant spray and put it all over the acoustic board. I do believe it worked quite well because I noticed that the water was sitting on top of it instead of soaking into it. And I also just went around the outside of the yellow tongue floorboarding too, just to try and help prevent any water from seeping in the sides, even though it's got the wax water resistant coating on the top. Alrighty, so I got this wire as well, just from Bunnings, because I'm going to change the fishing line that is on the lights with this wire. A few people mentioned that the fishing line would not do well with heat and it would deteriorate. So I figured before we actually put the heavy boards on there, it'll make my life a lot easier to do the wire now. That is the light just here that I'll just do the wire on, and then I can do these ones later on. Fishing line's pretty flimsy, hey? You fish, so you would know.
How thick is it?
It's like one for catching like big fish. It was
40 pounds.
Yeah, is that good?
I don't think it would break.
Really? It doesn't get hot though here. Like, it's not hot at all. The wire just looks kind of ugly. And Finn fishes, and he reckons it'll be okay. So if the fishing line fails,
I've fished before.
Yeah, he's fished before, guys. So, and he says it should be fine. And Finn can confirm it is not hot. It's really not hot at all.
You lift that so up in the water.
Yeah.
We should have had like a tape measure and just measure where the tank needs to sit.
I mean, no way to do it. Why make it easy? I'm a little bit behind where I wanted to be, but you will really like seeing this. I think this will be like music to your eyes to see how beautiful and well supported this structure is right now. And even have a look under here. Look at that. Look at that lack of bend and flex that we've got. How good does that look? But of course we have to add sand and water back into this just to make sure that it stays all good. I was going to get Finn to put the substrate in. Well, he offered to help, but it seemed like because of the angle, it was going to be really difficult to actually pour it in, unfortunately. So we are back to the scoop. We had some minor spills, but nothing too bad. At least most of the sand is in the tank. My plan is I'm going to add the hang on the back filter, the heater, and then I'm going to put some rocks and stuff in. We're going to seed that filter as well with beneficial bacteria from my sump, so it's nice and cycled. This here is the male, and the female is you can't see her because she's actually in the little cave here. And so that's the cave that they typically breed in, that I normally just randomly will see some little babies appear outside of the cave here. And the male is chasing what I believe is another male away from the cage. From the cave. Then the female is spending a lot of time in there, which is making me think that they probably at least have some tiny fry or some eggs or something in there. So they're the guys I want to put in that long tank because I think that'll just be the best for them and viewing and everything. I've also got this little cup here, and so these guys have a sump that is down here. I've done a couple of videos on this sump. I've mainly got my biological media on this side, and a lot of it is actually crushed coral just to help raise the KH in the tank, but all of this will also have bacteria in it. So I've just grabbed a bunch of this crushed coral out of the sump. Granted, being a tiny hang on the back filter, we can't fit an awful lot of this biological media in there, especially when it's chunky bits like this crushed coral, but we'll just see what we can get away with. It's not going to be needing to support a huge bio load, at least for now. So this will do, and that'll just help to get our cycle going in that filter as well. Now, if you were starting up a new tank, you would have to do that another way if you didn't have any like filter media that you could use, but this will work for us in this case. What I should mention though as well is that if I want to keep this bacteria colony alive and keep the tank cycled, I would either need to add some type of food source for it, like actual food, or put some fish in there. So you can see that it's filled up. We're just going to put our matrix on top. It's a lot fuller than it was before, but hopefully it'll still work. Now I'm just going to fill this filter up with some water actually from the Tanganyika tank. I know that the water doesn't hold a lot of bacteria, but I just want to do that just because bacteria, like fish, it's good to keep their perimeters the same. And I'm going to add some buffer into this tank to raise the pH and get that heater on as well. Alrighty, filter is all on. And I just added this little thing in here. My water box tank, I got it secondhand, and the owners had reef fish in there, and they used to use this to feed them. It's just like a little magnetic thing that sticks on the side, and I'm gonna get that Anubias. So I just took it outside. It's the green one of that, or the lime green one of that, and I'm gonna stick it in there. You could get something like a larger Anubias like this to do it with, but I just find that the smaller ones tend to stick better, like when you grow them out from being little like this. Give it a good wash. So we'll just pop her in here. Just like that. Got our little Anubias in there, just chilling in that little magnetic food feeder thing. And everything's looking good. So just got to, of course, later on fix up all the cable management and everything, but our filter is working, our heater is on, and I've added in some buffer as well just to raise the pH. But now what we have to do is add in a little bit of scape as well. So over here I've got some rocks. These are just leftover rocks from past scapes, or I've got heaps from the river scape that Jason did for me. So I used to have a lot of this rock. I bought heaps of this, but when Jason did the river scape for me, I gave him pretty much all of that rock that I had, which was rock that I bought from Gallery Aquatica when I first tried to do the scape myself. And then these are the river rocks that he brought to do the scape, which I've still got heaps of left over. So I'm thinking these round river rocks will actually look quite nice in there. I just think the color will look nice and everything. I'm just going to place maybe a couple of big ones in there and just some smaller ones around it, just so they'll have some little caves in there. And then that way the rock can start to grow some algae on it as well. Let's just start with some big ones. We'll start with this big one on this side, I think. And I've got another big one. All right. So our tank is pretty much going to overflow soon if we keep adding any more rock. I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Just got a bunch of bigger rocks and some littler rocks that I've scattered around it just to make it look a little bit more natural. And what they like is the sand bed isn't super deep, but they'll probably like going in there and maybe digging just a little bit under some of these rocks and making some little caves. it's only going to be the one pair in there, and then their little fry as well for growing out. So I think that that will do for now. I'm pretty happy with that and how it looks and everything. And hopefully the rock will just grow a little bit of algae. Once some of this water evaporates out, I will probably add a little bit more hardscape into here as well. But I think that'll do for now, because at least we've got something in there. And then, yeah, we've got something that's good to go. In terms of the mollies, so I'm not going to do that in this video because I don't know about whether I do want to put them in that tank. I think I might actually put that tank on the bottom with another matching one just to have some more weight on the bottom and get that fixed up. And then I think I'll go shallower for this second lot because it's just going to be a little bit annoying when it's so tall being able to like get in there and stuff. I'm not too worried about the mollies right now though. I did just go and check on them. See one just coming up to eat now. It's one of my Dalmatian mollies. They're honestly pretty friendly too. I came out here before and I literally picked it up in my hand pretty much. These little mollies, you can see a platinum one just here. So they don't do well with cold weather, and instead of putting a heater in this pond, I'm going to actually just bring them inside. We've actually had some pretty warm days recently, so they're all doing okay in there at the moment. So hopefully it all goes to plan. Just a couple of notes in terms of the safety of this setup as well. So it wasn't just the warping shelves that people were concerned about. I had a few comments also just about it having no diagonal bracing on the side. When a structure like this doesn't have that, then what can happen is if it gets knocked from the side, apparently it can collapse, like it can fold in on itself. So that's one thing that this does not have, which other rack systems do have, which is recommended for maximum stability, especially if you lived somewhere that got earthquakes and things. The thing too is you want to avoid having it be top heavy. So this isn't ideal at the moment because I've got a lot of weight here on this almost top shelf. What I should do is I should introduce some weight on the bottom shelf down here as well to increase the stability, making that bolted into the wall as well. In my case, I don't have any young children, I don't have any pets or anything that would be climbing up these or pulling on them. So I'm not too concerned about that. I just have to be mindful myself too. I mean, it's relatively stable, but of course I'm not gonna wanna be climbing my rack or like pulling on it or anything. So what I will do though is I'm renting, so I don't want to bolt it into the wall, but I will put some tanks down the bottom, so that will add some additional weight down there. But I just wanted to mention those safety precautions. There is another rack system that you can get called Racket that does have that diagonal bracing. Just for me personally, this is the size that I want, and I'm aware of the risk, and I'm just going to be careful that I don't knock the sides of it. And you know, ultimately it's not going to have an awful lot of weight on it. It's in the garage. There's no kids or anything here. The worst thing that can happen is that if I did accidentally knock it over, I end up with some smash tanks and some water in the garage. These shelves are rated for 600 kilograms each shelf, as long as it's evenly distributed, which is what we've done now by adding the actual shelves as well. Comment down below what you think, and if you're enjoying my videos and you want to stay updated with all of these projects, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel, and you can even hit that little bell icon so that you get notified each time I upload a new video. And thank you so much to everyone who's bought merch as well. I really appreciate it. I will put the link to my website for merchandise as well, which is now available in the description of this video. Leah says bye. She has a little green head because she put her head in water and then she rubbed it on one of her toys and it stained her hair, her little feathers, green. I even tried to wash it off, but it's still kind of on there. Oh, Layla. She's molting at the moment, so she's kind of grumpy too.